This is He Knows His Sport, bringing you that heat and that fire. All right, guys. I want to talk about this because I think it needs to be made very clear in regards to Errol Spence and Shawn Porter. You know, I gave you guys a breakdown of how that fight is going to go. But I need to explain something to you guys so you guys are made very clear why this fight right here is pretty much going to be lightweight and it's going to be what I call easy work. You know, we haven't heard that Mayweather term in a while. Basically, easy work for Errol Spence. Here's the thing. Shawn constipated Porter. You guys have to understand why I call his style constipated. Dennis Ugas got robbed fighting Shawn Porter. He outboxed him. A lot of people in boxing saw how Shawn Porter was a very flawed fighter. I've been saying this man is a very flawed fighter. But the Dennis Ugas fight proved to everyone how flawed of a fighter that he is. He can't box. I'm going to say that again. He cannot box, folks. Shawn Porter was trying to be fancy. He was going against his smothering, herky-jerky style of basically throwing inadvertent headbutts. You know, like he's basically the reiteration of Evander Holyfield. And then just basically making the fight ugly. You know, and giving you this ineffective aggression type of smothering to where he doesn't know what punch he wants to throw, but just basically suffocate you to where it looks like he's doing something. We've seen fighters like this before. We've seen them in Marcos Maidana. You know, we've seen it in Lucas Matiste. We've seen these types of fighters before. The problem is Shawn Porter don't have those guys' power. That's the difference. But Shawn Porter, you guys have to understand, he's over the hill. I'm going to say it again because I need to let this one marinate in the brain cells. Shawn Porter is over the hill, folks. Shawn Porter is no longer that fighter that you guys think that he is. The reason being is because when you see a fighter is 1 foot in and 1 foot out, he's an announcer now for PBC. He's basically telling you, he's foretelling you of events that's about to happen. What happened? Before Andre Ward retired, wasn't he announcing? What is he doing now? Timothy Bradley, before he retired, wasn't he announcing? What is he doing now? Roy Jones Jr., before he retired, wasn't he announcing at that time? What is he doing right now? A lot of times when fighters take on these jobs, they're basically foretelling you of what's going to happen. Shawn Porter knows the Errol Spence fight is not going in his favor. He could have the greatest night of his fight career. He's still not going to win that fight. He knows that. He's come to that conclusion. But what him and Kenny Porter are doing, these guys in their ridiculously tailored made versions of suits. I don't even know why they have a suit company. I don't understand it. I wouldn't buy anything that they're wearing. It just seemed like their tailoring looks like trash to me. But anyways, I don't have a problem with Shawn Porter. I think he's a good guy. You know, outside of the boxing ring, I think he's a respectable human being. But we're talking about the square circle here. I know folks are like, man, why you keep getting on Shawn Constipated Porter? Because I keep telling you folks, there are first-tier welterweights, a la Errol Spence and Terrence Bud Crawford, and there are second-tier welterweights. Shawn Porter falls into that category of the second-tier welterweights. Who are the second-tier welterweights? Danny Cherry Picking Garcia, Keith Runtime or a.k.a. Duck Time Thurman, and Shawn Constipated Porter. Shawn Porter fights like an awkward football player, man. He throws inadvertent headbutts. He likes to make it ugly. You know what I'm saying? He likes to do dirty, basically ballroom dancing type of fighting. He doesn't box. He lacks fundamentals. He lacks boxing skills. And then there's deficiencies there. You have to understand, he's a shorter guy. He has no reach. So if you're a taller guy and you have reach and you could keep him at the end of your jab, it's going to be a busy night. It's going to be a bad night for him. Kell Brook exposed that on the highest levels. This was when Kell Brook was Special K prior to Errol Spence retiring him. Remember, Errol Spence has a tendency of retiring these fighters. And Shawn Porter's next. He's going to get retired too, whenever that fight date is. So the point that I'm trying to make is this, man, and it needs to be very clear. Shawn Porter is the weakest WBC champion ever. Ever. And I don't care if the Shawn Porter fanboys get hot and they get bothered, you know what I'm saying, or they get hot like grits. I don't care. I'm a truth teller, folks. I come with cold-hearted, unadulterated, and cutthroat truths. And the truth of the fact of the matter is Shawn Porter has not made the cut, folks. He doesn't cut the mustard. When you look at him, you could see why Errol Spence is going to pick him apart. After the Kell Brook fight, when Shawn Porter was exposed, because that was the last shred of athleticism you saw from him from a smothering aspect, it started to go downhill from there. Go look at the fight against Keith Thurman. People sitting there saying, man, that fight was so close, it could have gone either way. Well, Keith Thurman is not the greatest ring generalship fighter. He doesn't have the greatest legs. But if you look in that fight, you could see he clearly outpointed Shawn Porter. He landed the more accurate shots because Keith Thurman is the better boxer. Keith Thurman has better ring generalship between the two. And Keith Thurman basically, although awkward in his style, has a higher boxing IQ. That's why he won that fight. But that wasn't the fight that exposed Shawn Porter. Besides Kell Brook, it was the Danny Garcia fight. Because what Danny Garcia does well is counter punching. Every time they had those exchanges where Danny Garcia was able to counterpunch, his counterpunching was landing effectively on Shawn Constipated Porter. The reason why Shawn Porter got the nod in that fight is because his smothering, inadvertent headbutt, inadvertent and close quarter ballroom dancing style of fighting did just a little bit more than what Danny Garcia failed to do in his counterpunch. Because remember, what is Danny Garcia's issue? He does not let his hands go, and he's very measured in how many punches he throws. If Danny Garcia was a little bit more busier, not a lot, a little bit more busier, he would have got the decision that night. Then let's fast forward to the Adrian Granados fight. Granados took a chunk out of Shawn Porter. This is why Shawn Porter doesn't do the smothering style no more, folks. It's because Shawn Porter came to this conclusion that, hold up, two things are happening. Age and attrition. I'm going up there in age, for one. And two, I got to deal with also the fact that not only am I going up in age, I also have to deal with this issue of this smothering style takes a lot of punishment. I used to levy out a lot of punishment. Now I'm taking a lot of punishment because I'm past my prime. I'm over the hill at this point. Shawn Porter's 31 years old. He's not a spring chicken when it comes to boxing. He's getting up there. And with his style of fighting, he's possibly aged 35, 36 in boxing. Because his style has put him in a lot of wars where he's taken a lot of punishment. Why do you think in the Adrian Granados fight, he was trying to be the quote-unquote boxer? In the Eudenis Ugas fight, he was trying to be the quote-unquote boxer. It's because that smothering style takes a lot out of you. You have to be in the best physical shape in order to do that style because it's a stamina-filled style, folks. And I know Shawn Porter's going to be in the best shape of his career going against Errol Spence. But here's the problem. That smothering style is not going to work because there's two game plans. If Shawn Porter goes in there trying to smother and he goes in there trying to throw those inadvertent headbutts, this game plan is simple. Every time he throws a headbutt, all Errol Spence got to do is throw a looping right hand or a looping left hand down on his head. Because, see, if you start punching in that brain and punch that brain matter up, then those headbutts ain't going to come because Shawn Porter's going to know, man, every time I throw a headbutt, this man's going to punch down on my head. So if he's punching down on his head, the message is being sent. You guys have to understand how the spinal cord and the brain works in the body. When the brain gets hit, it sends the message to the spinal cord that I'm being hit. So now your joints and the movements in your body is going to respond. And if that happens repetitively, then guess what's going to take place, folks? Train your brain on this one. I'm going to say that again. Train your brain on this one. Let me say that one more time. Train your brain on this one. It's basically going to tell Shawn Porter, okay, no more headbutts. And then what Errol Spence could do if Shawn Porter wants to keep it close is just every time make sure he technically punching placed or technically punch and place his punches into what's called body shots. Basically, make sure that that technical punching placement is on point with those body shots. Every exchange, make sure that he has a couple of body shots ready to go. If I'm Errol Spence, that's what I'm doing. I'm body shotting him for days. And when I say for days, I'm talking about chop, suey days. Body shot after body shot after body shot after body shot. Every exchange. And then if Shawn Porter wants to play that game where he's going to, oh, I'm quote unquote this boxer, which Eudenis Ugas exposed, which Adrian Granados exposed, and these guys are nowhere near the level of Spence. All Spence got to do is go back into original bulldozing, which is to cut the ring off, uses extremely supreme tactical aggression, lateral movement style, and do his uncanny step in and step out game. Errol Spence does that. He cuts the ring off and he could stop Shawn Porter. So basically, Shawn Porter's in a catch-22. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. It don't matter what style he uses. He's going to get stopped. And people need to understand, Errol Spence has to make a statement, because folks are sitting here getting caught up in this Mikey Garcia fight, not understanding that the game plan was to outbox the supposedly god of skills, right? Which he debunked that. But folks are now saying, oh, he can't stop welters. Okay, he can't stop welters. Think that stupidity all you want. Well, guess who's first on the list of being bulldozed? It's going to be Shawn Porter, folks. Errol Spence has to send the message, and the message has to be rain clear. I'm going to stop a guy who's never been stopped before. I'm going to stop a big physical welterweight. And when I do that, the Thanos with the Infinity Stones, the Thor with the Stormbreaker will be reinstilled in the welterweight division. Folks will understand why I truly am the boogeyman of the weight division. That's what's going to happen. Shawn Porter needs to come up out that damn WBC belt. He's the weakest WBC champion ever. Him and that green belt don't belong together. Remember, green represents money. And there's nothing money about this guy in terms of his boxing ability. Again, outside of the boxing ring, appreciate the man's hustle. Like the man's personality. Like the man's spirit. But inside the square circle, he is atrocious. I know folks don't want to hear that. Folks saying, man, why you getting on him? I'm just keeping it real, man. Shawn Porter is a very flawed fighter. And you're going to have his dad, Kenny Porter, that's going to turn around and say, hey, man, hit him with the head. Hit him with the head. It's not hit him with the head in terms of using your head in terms of being smart. Hit him with the head, meaning throw those damn headbutts. That's what's going to happen, man. Because they don't know how to fight no other way but dirty. Especially if they're fighting against competition that's going to be more elite than them. For folks that sit here and think that Shawn Porter is going to be the Shawn Porter a few years back, nah, man, he's past his prime. He's a PBC announcer. He's 1 foot in, 1 foot out. What you guys are going to see is a Errol Spence that's going to stop him in 8 to 9 rounds, man. That's what you guys are going to see. Because Spence is motivated, because he wants to unify, because he wants to have that positioning against Terrence Bud Crawford when it comes to negotiation table for that fight. And then at the same time, he wants the main belt, the WBC belt. Because you know once you have that belt, you play in all the cards. You know what I'm saying? That's what he wants. Basically, like that show, House of Cards, he's going to have the House of the Cards when he gets the WBC belt. That's the truth of the fact of the matter. So again, Shawn Constipated Porter is getting stopped via what? Man down and strap season via 8th to 9th round KO, or if Kenny Porter's smart, TKO stoppage. This is He Knows His Sport. Checking out.